Okay, so here's some bacon fat that I made Howie bacon and eggs this morning, which is, he doesn't get it but more than once or twice a month because of the sodium and the fat, right? But I tell you, we're gonna take this little pork roast and we're gonna sear it all over. Yes, my hands are clean. And this is going to be done in the crock pot. I've turned the pan off because remember, cast iron holds its heat. I'm going to sear this all on the sides. And then I'm really going to give that top a good searing, the fatty part on the underside here. We really want that nice and seared up. We've got the top part, oh look, see? Nice and crunchy, whoops. Nice and crispy on the top. And I am just going to pop a jar of turnips and a jar of potatoes because they're already cooked and it's 2 in the afternoon, which means these are going to the potatoes and vegetables would not be cooked in time. I would have got it on earlier, but we're in the middle of a snowstorm and I'm afraid of the power going out. And then we're going to put a half an onion on top. Only have 1 onion left until Daddy stops at the store, so I'm just putting a half an onion on and saving the other half for tomorrow. A little bit of garlic, and I mean just a little bit of garlic powder. You know me and garlic powder, folks. Don't need a lot of salt because of the canned potatoes and the bacon fat, but just a sprinkle. And of course, pepper. And this is going into the crock pot on high till about 5:30. Oh, yes, lovely. Alrighty. Here's Howard's vegetables with his onion, and here is mine. I don't like the potatoes as much as he does. And here's our roast. I'm sorry about the poor lighting, but this, oh, it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I'm absolutely going to get at least 1 more meal out of this, if not 2. I have a feeling there's going to be a couple of roast pork sandwiches for lunch tomorrow. So let me just very nicely shave some lunch meat off here for Papa tomorrow. He's home from work, drove home in a really bad snowstorm. So, this is for Howard's lunch tomorrow. This is for tomorrow night's supper. I'm going to put this in a bowl, and I'm going to pour all that nice juice right over that. And that is going to be supper tomorrow night. Here is Howie's supper, and you'll see him give that a thumbs up when he comes in. So Howie, supper number 1, crock pot pork roast.
Awesome.
And you're having roast pork sandwiches for lunch tomorrow, and then we're going to eat pork again for supper, but it'll be a surprise. All right then, here we are. On to meal number 3. Here is that wonderful jelly from the meat. We got a second meal out of this roast. Howie had 2 sandwiches for lunch, and I had 1 for lunch. So that was meal number 2. I just didn't film it. Now, I'm going to make Yorkshire pudding pork pie. This is my own invention. I'm going to cut this meat up. Now I've got my skillet over there heating up. Now there's this other half of the onion that I used in supper yesterday. We're just going to kind of mince this up as fine as we can. it wasn't worth getting the chopper out for one thick slice of onion, right? Now, I'm going to preheat my oven to 375 degrees, and I'll meet you over at the other side of the counter. Now, while our oven is preheating, we're going to take our minced onion, and we're going to drop it in the skillet with this bit of bacon fat. Oh, I didn't slice that up very well, did I? We want that to cook a little bit. We want it to caramelize a little bit. I'm going to take about a tablespoon or two of flour, mix it into some cold water, put a lid on it, and hope it doesn't leak when I do this. And that is going to be set aside for our gravy. Sorry, I wasn't recording. I put the juice from there in with the onions now to simmer while we make our Yorkshire pudding. All right, here's going to be our Yorkshire pudding. Yorkshire pud's really easy, folks. It's 4 eggs. It's a cup of flour and a cup of milk and a teaspoon of baking powder. We're going to get these whipping as we go. Sift it. This is another secret to good Yorkshire pud. I am sorry that thing is so loud, but it is secondhand. Whoops. Teaspoon of baking powder. Now we're gonna turn this down, and we're gonna alternate the flour with the milk. Don't put it in too quick because it'll shoot up all over the place. And Bob's your uncle on the last of the milk. Cup of eggs, which is 4 large eggs, cup of flour, cup of milk, teaspoon of baking powder. That just cried uncle. So we're going to take this over to the stove and get our Yorkshire pudding pork pie put together. Now, the secret to getting this right, folks, is timing. And to accompany our Yorkshire pudding pork pie, we're having home canned beets. No, they're not pickled. And home canned green beans. There we go. How we want this onion, and we're going to get this, and if it gets too thick, that's not a problem, but if it gets too thick, we can add some of our bean water. I don't recommend it adding the beet water. It looks like a medicine we used to take when I was a kid if you add beet water to gravy. Anybody over 55 is going to know what I'm talking about. A Yorkshire pud pan right out of the oven. And that is sizzling hot, so do be careful. And in goes our Yorkshire pud. And I think it wasn't hot enough. But here goes our pud. It didn't sear on the bottom well enough. Our meat goes in here now. We give it a rigorous stir. And then we pour this right into the center. Let's get everything to the edge. The gravy should have been a little thicker, maybe. We're going to pour this right in to the center of that Yorkshire pud. Right into the oven that goes for about 40 minutes. Okay, our Yorkshire pudding pork pie, the timer has gone off. And I think it's stuck to the bottom. Now, I've heard this compared to toad in a hole, which is a British Yorkshire pud with a big sausage in the center. But I had never heard of that until I had made this. Now, look at the gravy. Look at that. It's almost like a pot pie. Oh yeah. And some beets. And some green beans, and I'm gonna butter the veg and put salt and pepper on, and we'll take it to Papa. Well, I mean, it's your second day on the new job. Of course you're gonna be tired. Yorkshire pudding pork pie.
Yorkshire pudding pot pie.
Pork pie.
Pork pie.
It's gonna be hot.
Hot.
Yeah. Well, you know, people tease me for warning you.
It's because it is hot. And it's very tasty.
Thank you, darling. You saw meal number 1. Meal number 2 was 2 sandwiches for Papa and 1 for me. And that is meal number 3. That's how you squeeze that quarter, because it's just good home economics. Take care. God bless.